Okay, we're here with the Phoenix Plus. We're going to take a little quick look at the controls in the Phoenix Plus. As you can see, we have two independent combustion systems and two independent controls. So when we set our temperature, we're going to need to set some limits and some settings in both programs, and both controls rather. So I'm going to start up here with the first one up top, and we're going to go through the control. So it's Velcroed on the inside here. You can reach in and grab it. And what we're going to be looking for is to set the upper temperature. So HTP is going to recommend, to get a little staging out of this unit, perhaps we're going to set the top temperature for, say, 125, and then we may set the bottom temperature for 120, or even a little greater. We could do 130 up here and 120 down here, and that will help stage them a little bit better. We want to try to avoid setting them for the same temperature. So in order to set the temperature, I'm going to take a look at this keypad here. We're going to press and hold the S3 program button for 3 seconds, and we should get a designation of DU, and that's going to let us know that it's programmed for a Phoenix, a water heater, and this is going to be our set point. So if we want to change this up, we're going to simply use the S2 plus button and raise this. So for today, we're going to set them to 130 degrees. And then the next number we're going to need to know is the differential. So a differential is a firing differential. So 7 is pretty standard. It can be adjusted up to 20 degrees and down to, I think, 2 degrees. So for our purpose, we're going to set this at 7. That seems to work pretty well for these combustion systems. And then as we go through the program again, we're going to be able to switch from Fahrenheit to Celsius. And once we have accomplished our temperature setting, our differential, and our type of temperature, Celsius or Fahrenheit, we simply hit it one more time. The program will be stored into the control. The other buttons that are on here, of course, are the S1 plus and minus. Those are used for a few different things. Of course, to go through the settings, to raise and lower the numbers. We also use them to raise and lower the fan speed for service mode. So service mode is an operation that we use to do our combustion testing. So in order to control the fan, remember it's a modulating unit, so in order to control the fan speed, we want to have complete control over that to get accurate readings. So to operate the test mode, we simply press and hold S2 and S3 at the same time. And you should get an SER and a 3-digit RPM code. The control will establish ignition, and once it has established ignition and flame current, it's going to allow you to control the fan speed. So we would use the plus button to go up, and we're going to use the minus button to go down. And our installation manual will tell you, based on the model number, of your expected high and low fire readings, as well as your high and low fire RPMs. Alright, so once we've established ignition, and the control will allow you to bring the fan speed up to high, bring it down to low, and listed inside the installation manual, of course, are your expected high fire CO2 levels, whether it's natural propane, and also gives you the expected RPMs, which is very helpful. Once we have comfortable with our combustion testing and we're all good there and we want to get out of that mode, we simply press and hold the 1 and 2 buttons at the same time, and it will resume the control back to normal operation. The other buttons, we have a S4, which is of course the reset button. The S4 reset is used if for some reason we go into a fault condition after the problem has been fixed. We simply press and hold the S4 button for 3 seconds, and the code will clear and the unit will return to normal operation. We also use the S4 reset button as our status. So status is of course our system parameters, where we're at, our statistics, if you will, on the control. So by holding S4 for 3 seconds, you should get what we call the D menus. So D1 is going to be your upper tank sensor for the upper combustion system on this case. And we press S4 again. And D2 is going to be the lower sensor, of course, on the upper combustion system. D3 is not used. D4 is not used. D5 would be an outdoor temperature. We do allow a little bit outdoor reset with this model if you're going to use it for a little bit of space heating. So that would show an actual temperature if it was connected to this model. And then we go to D6, which is going to be your actual fan speed. If the machine was running or we wanted to see what it was in normal operation, we could take a look and see what the RPM is here at D6. D7 is the ionization or the flame current, the flame proving portion of it. So we can check our ionization. The control has a threshold of 1 microamp, so it needs to be above that. So if for some reason we're seeing some F10s or some problems with combustion, we can take a look and see what that number actually is. D8 is not used on this model. D9 is an active call, so when the machine says, okay, I've dropped my differential, I'm ready to fire up, this will go from 0 to 1, and I'll let you know there's an active call on the machine. D10 is not used, and D11 is your set point. So if you want to see what your actual set point is on the machine without going into the program menu and trying to find out, you can take a look at D11 while you're in the status menu. D12, D13, D14, and D15 are all your runtime hours. So it will give you different options on how many power on hours it's been, how many hours of operation it's been into in domestic mode, and some things like that. So And that should wrap up the display and the control function on the top portion of the Phoenix Plus. Okay, so we got the upper tank temperature set where we want it, and in our example we just got this set to 130 degrees. So again, these are separate combustion systems, so they both require separate settings, separate combustion testing, and all that good stuff. So in order to do that, we're just going to grab a hold of this keypad for the lower combustion system and bring it up here, and we want to simply press and hold the S3 button, the program button, for 3 seconds. And we should get DU on our screen, and that's going to tell us that it's programmed for a Phoenix or a domestic water heater. And then there's our current set point temperature. So in order to adjust that, we're either going to use the S1 minus to bring the temperature down, or in our case, we're going to use S2 plus to bring it up to 120. So I have 130 set up at the top, and I have 120 set down at the bottom. The next setting that we're going to have to address is the differential. So 7 degrees is what we have our top set to, and we will probably remain the same on the bottom. 7 degrees is a pretty standard temperature. Now we may want to vary that based on application or usage and some things like that may dictate, but 7 degrees is a pretty good number to go by. And then the next adjustment that we have is our temperature setting. So we can switch this over to Celsius if we need to. We currently have it in Fahrenheit, and once we have all of our settings programmed in the way we'd like them, we simply press and hold the S3 button one more time. The control will click and then show you your new set point temperature on the screen. Now, if the other thing that the lower control will do for us as well is our status button. So if we want to check and see where our temperatures currently are, we're going to simply press and hold the S4 reset button for a couple of seconds, 3 seconds, and we should get D1. D1 is going to be the actual value off your upper thermistor on the lower combustion system. And then if we press it one more time, D2 is going to be our lower thermistor on the lower combustion system. And we can take a look and see where they're set to. And then once we're okay with where we're at, and they seem to be okay, we'll just press and hold the S3 button for a second, and that will put the control back into normal operation. Once the initial installation is completed and we're ready to do our combustion testing, just like we did on the top combustion system, we want to do a little combustion testing on the lower one. In order to do that, we press and hold the S2 and S3 buttons at the same time or simultaneously. And the control will show us our service and our 3-digit RPM and our ignition speed. Once we have our combustion set where we like it and everything's good, we press and hold the S1 and S2 buttons simultaneously, and the control will return to normal operation, and you're ready to go.